To get overwhelmed on your poker journey. There are so many things you could be doing to improve your game, from watching training videos, to working with solvers, to doing drills in GTO Wizard. The list is almost endless. Then when you sit down to play, you have to deal with emotions, self-doubt, and lack of focus. A lot of players feel like there are too many things for them to work on, yet they don't have enough energy or hours in the day. But what if it could be simpler? What if you could create a system to optimize and improve the things that really matter? Learning to think in systems. A system is a set of interconnected elements organized in a way to achieve a goal. As a poker player, your goal might be to achieve the highest win rate possible, and the system is everything that comes together to make that possible. Poker is a complex system, which means there are many interacting elements. But we could simplify it to the following equation. Knowledge multiplied by execution multiplied by consistency equals your results. The knowledge you have is your strategic edge. Your execution is your ability to execute that knowledge in game. And consistency is your ability to keep showing up and hitting your volume. When it comes to achieving your poker goals, this is the system you need to optimize for. Now, systems have what are known as leverage points, which are places where small changes can make significant improvements. Your goal is to find the biggest leverage points for each of the three components. The one thing method. This is a strategy I learned from the book The One Thing by Gary Keller, where you identify and prioritize the single most important leverage points to achieve your goals. So firstly, let's apply this to your poker knowledge. What's the one area of your game that if you worked on improving would have the biggest increase in your win rate? If you don't know the answer, you need to do some reflecting and analyzing your game until you know. This is where a lot of players go wrong. They don't know exactly what they should be focusing on, so they get on the information consumption train that leads to nowhere. They end up dabbling in everything and they don't make any real progress. Here's the thing. You're better off spending 1 hour working on the right stuff rather than 10 hours working on stuff that doesn't really matter. When you do know what's most important, this becomes what you work on during your study sessions. More on that later. The second leverage point you need to find is in your in-game execution. What's the one thing that gets in the way of you playing your best poker? Now, this could be a lack of focus, emotions that come up, or losing confidence in your players. There is likely more than one thing, but try to narrow it down to one main obstacle for now. This becomes your mindset upgrades that you need to make. Then the third leverage point is your consistency. What's the one thing that gets in the way of your ability to show up consistently? It could be a lack of structure in your days, staying up too late, or getting easily distracted. Identify the number one challenge you face when it comes to being more consistent. This becomes your performance improver. Once you have the three highest leverage points, you then need to create a system for how to improve them. Creating your system. Part 1. Let's start with your technical game. When it comes to increasing your poker knowledge, how much of your time do you spend studying? More specifically, how much of your time do you spend doing deep work on the highest leverage part of your game? Deep work is when you are intensely focused for a dedicated period of time without distractions. When it comes to learning, daily deep work has been shown to be more effective than sporadic longer sessions. Many poker players don't have regular deep work study blocks, which is where you can gain a massive edge. The good news is they don't have to be overly long. Just 60 to 90 minutes daily can put you way ahead of the competition. So, where in your day can you make time for a deep work block? Is it first thing in the morning when you are fresh and focused? Or are you more of an evening person who can focus better later in their day? This becomes the first node in your system, your time-blocked daily deep work. Next is your in-game execution. There was one big thing that you identified as getting in the way of you performing at your best. Often this falls into the category of mindset. Here, you need to go a bit deeper and understand the root cause of the problem. From there, you can find a solution to fix it and practice using that new approach until it becomes your default. For example, you might notice that you start getting frustrated after making a few mistakes, which leads you to start playing more aggressively. The root cause could be that you're too hard on yourself and that you call yourself an idiot and that you should know better when you make a mistake. The solution could be giving yourself permission to make mistakes and label them as learning opportunities. Then when you're in-game and you make a mistake, you calmly mark the hand to review later. At first, it's hard to break the old pattern of thinking, but with practice, it becomes easier. To make this practical, follow these 3 steps. Number 1, before you play, set the intention to look out for moments when this mental game opportunity arises. Number 2, Have your planned new approach ready to use. For example, when X happens, I will do Y. Number 3, after your session, reflect on how effective the new approach was and what you can improve on for your next session. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. The final part of your system is your consistency. How do you master the art of showing up? How do you get more of yourself on a daily basis? It first comes down to the goals you have and why it matters to you. Most people don't have a clear vision for who they want to be and what they want their life to look like a few years from now. They'll say vague things like, I want more money, or I want to play higher stakes. But they don't have clarity on what this looks like and how to get there. You won't be more consistent until you have a strong reason for why you need to be. Now, let's say you have clear goals you're working towards. The next step is to create a plan. How many hours are you wanting to put into the key activities every week? You then need to schedule out your days with the highest value tasks that move you towards your goals. For poker players, it's often quite simple. When in your day are you studying? Exactly when are you grinding and for how long? Which days are you exercising? It seems too obvious, which is why many players skip this step. They don't have a daily plan, and as a result, their whole day ends up being a battle to get in there grinding and studying. Some days they win that battle, other days they don't, but they lack that consistent execution. High performers, on the other hand, plan out their days and schedules so they always know exactly where to invest their time. Don't take the importance of this step for granted. Make sure every week you have a plan of exactly how you're going to spend each hour of your day. Then the final step is tracking and accountability. At the end of the week, you should have a scorecard and you should reflect on the amount of hours you actually put into the key activities for the week. Did you do your 6 hours of studying this week? If not, why not? And how can you improve going forward? Did you hit your 30-hour grinding target? If not, why not? And how can you make sure you hit that target next week? It becomes a game of making small tweaks and changes until you can hit the targets that you set each week. It's not difficult. It just takes intentionality and the willingness to problem solve your days. The 80-20 principle. The 80-20 principle dictates that 80% of your results in life come from 20% of your efforts. The leverage points show you where that 20% of effort should be focused on. Your daily system is how you take action on that 20%.